Hey everyone. In this video, I'll show you how to pull off a difficult glitch that grants Samus an effectively infinite amount of ammunition, specifically missiles and super missiles. I say effectively infinite because it isn't truly infinite, but the number is so large that you'd have a difficult time ever running out of ammo. From a technical standpoint, this glitch is actually quite interesting. To begin, let's briefly review the technique known as the crystal flash. As you're likely aware, this technique refills Samus's energy and reserve tanks at the expense of some ammunition, specifically 10 each of missiles, super missiles, and power bombs. In order to perform a crystal flash, Samus must have 50 or less energy, empty reserve tanks, or no reserve tanks, 10 missiles, 10 super missiles, and 11 power bombs. The 11th power bomb is required to initiate the crystal flash. Once these conditions are met, lay a power bomb, and then press and hold the following 4 buttons until the crystal flash occurs. L, R, the shoot button, and down on the D-pad. Something that's understandably easy to overlook about the crystal flash is that in order for the crystal flash to actually activate after the power bomb explosion concludes, Samus must be at the exact same position, horizontally and vertically, as she was when she first laid the power bomb. If Samus's position is even 1 pixel off, the crystal flash won't activate. This will be important to understand later on. Now that we've reviewed the crystal flash, head over to the save station above Draygon's room. Before saving, I would recommend optimizing Samus's energy and ammunition counts in order to perform this glitch. First, make sure that any reserve tanks you have are empty. Then, personally, I aim to have an energy count of between 121 and 130. In other words, 1 pink tank with 21 to 30 energy on top of that. I'll explain my reasoning for this as we go on. But if you want a bigger cushion, you can always start with more energy than this. Now, drain your ammo until you have 10 missiles and 15 super missiles. I recommend 15 super missiles because you'll need 1 to open the green door below the save station, 1 to kill the eye door enemy, and then 3 to destroy the 3 turrets in Draygon's room. Then you'll have 10 left over for the crystal flash. When it comes to power bombs, be sure to have at least 12, but the more the merrier. Once you've finished optimizing your energy and ammo, go ahead and save. Now head down to Draygon's room. This is where the fun begins. As always, destroy all 3 turrets, then wait for Draygon. As you probably know, during the boss fight, each time Draygon enters the room, she will either perform a swoop cycle, where she just flies through the room and tries to hit you, or a goo cycle, where she spits out globs of goo in the hopes of grabbing Samus. 2 things happen when a piece of goo hits Samus. First, her horizontal movement will be slowed down until the goo is destroyed or disappears on its own. Second, Draygon will try to grab onto Samus. In order to perform the glitch that is the subject of this video with any sort of consistency, we need to first put Samus into a state that has been referred to as the perma-goo state. Simply put, when Samus is in the perma-goo state, it will make Draygon behave as though Samus is permanently affected by her goo, hence the name. So Draygon will stop spitting goo altogether and instead immediately attempt to grab Samus when she enters what would normally be a goo cycle. The perma-goo state will also slow down Samus's horizontal movement, just as normal goo does. The perma-goo state can only be removed by saving and reloading the file, or by Samus dying. In order to achieve the perma-goo state, enter the morphing ball, select your power bombs, and wait for Draygon to begin a goo cycle. As soon as possible after Draygon enters the room spitting goo, lay a power bomb. After the power bomb explosion begins, run and jump so that Samus is directly over Draygon's mouth, which is where the goo originates. The goal of this technique is to have Samus get hit by a piece of goo and have the power bomb explosion destroy that piece of goo at the same time. If you're not right over Draygon's mouth, any goo particles she spits will be destroyed by the power bomb before they can hit you. Sometimes you'll get unlucky and Draygon won't spit a goo particle while you're directly over her mouth, as seen here, so she won't pick you up. You also need to be sure to avoid getting hit by a goo particle and then having the power bomb destroy it. If you destroy a piece of goo after it attaches to Samus, Draygon will immediately fly away, upwards, as seen here. In either case, you can just try again, as long as you have enough power bombs and energy. Basically, if you attempt this trick, and it ends with Draygon picking you up, without any visible goo on Samus, you know you've succeeded. You can confirm that you succeeded by seeing that Samus's horizontal movement is slowed down after Draygon releases you. The reason that I previously recommended having between 121 and 130 energy prior to the fight is that, assuming you have Gravity Suit enabled, hitting any part of Draygon's body, including when Draygon hits you with her tail, will result in 40 damage to Samus. Often, because you're literally jumping into Draygon's face, attempting to acquire the perma-goo state will result in Samus hitting Draygon once or twice, which takes away either 40 or 80 energy. In the event that Samus does take 80 damage, her energy will then be between 41 and 50, which is low enough to perform a Crystal Flash, but also high enough that she can take one more hit from Draygon without dying. Once you succeed in getting the perma-goo state, ensure that Samus's energy is 50 or less in preparation for a Crystal Flash. To do this, you can either let Draygon hit Samus with her tail, damage yourself on the broken turrets, or just let Draygon swoop into you. Once Samus is in the perma-goo state, and you have the required energy and ammo for a Crystal Flash, you can attempt the glitch itself. The goal of this is to get Draygon to pick up Samus while she is actively in a Crystal Flash, as seen here. You may be wondering how in the world this could be related to Samus acquiring near infinite ammunition. Let me explain. Let's go back to the Crystal Flash for a moment. During a Crystal Flash, as Samus's energy is being replenished, some of her ammo is taken away. The game keeps track of how much ammo is being taken away at a specific memory address. When a Crystal Flash begins, this memory address is set to a value of 10, representing the 10 missiles that the Crystal Flash will take away. Once every 8 frames, the value of this memory address will decrease by 1, and so will your missile count. Once the counter reaches 0, 10 missiles will have been depleted, and the value will reset back to 10. This time, as it counts down to 0, 10 super missiles will be depleted. Finally, it'll reset to 10 yet again, and deplete 10 power bombs. Once the counter at that memory address reaches 0 for the 3rd time, the Crystal Flash will end. Now, back to Draygon. You've probably noticed that when Draygon picks up Samus, you can break free by mashing on the directional pad, or D-pad. Indeed, when Samus is in Draygon's grasp, the game keeps track of how many times you press the D-pad at a specific memory address. Each time you press a direction on the D-pad, the counter at this memory address increases by 1. Once the counter reaches a value of 60, Draygon will release Samus. Now for the really interesting part. The exact same memory address is utilized for both the depletion of ammo during a Crystal Flash and for counting D-pad inputs when Samus is in Draygon's grasp. specifically this memory address. To summarize, the crystal flash decreases the value of this counter by 1 every 8 frames, while each press of the D-pad will increase the value by 1. This is what allows this glitch to work. Say that you start a crystal flash with 10 missiles, while Draygon is holding Samus. As your missile count is depleting, if you press on the D-pad once, 1 will be added to the counter, which will trick the crystal flash into taking away 11 missiles instead. But you only had 10 to begin with, so what happens? Your missile count goes from 0 to the highest possible value the game can handle. This is often called an underflow. In the game's programming, your ammo counts are each allotted 16 bits, or binary digits, of memory. Each bit is either a 0 or a 1, so your possible ammo counts range from this to this. Or, in hexadecimal, which is way less annoying to look at, from this to this. The value of FFFF is 65,535. So, your missile count will go straight from 0 to 65,535. Which, let's be honest, in the context of this game, that's pretty much infinite. Now that we've gone over why this trick works, let's head back to the Draygon fight, where Samus is in the perma-goo state, and your energy and ammo counts are ready for a crystal flash. After Draygon performs a swoop from left to right, position Samus up against the bottom left locked door that leads to Space Jump. Enter the morphing ball and have your power bombs selected. Now you need to hope that Draygon performs a goo cycle from right to left. Remember though, because you're in the perma-goo state, Draygon won't actually spit out goo. She'll just come to grab you. If she doesn't perform a right to left goo cycle right away, it's no big deal. You just have to be patient with her and try not to die in the meantime. Okay, it's time for the hardest part of this trick, laying the power bomb to initiate the crystal flash at exactly the right time. Unfortunately, when I say exact, I mean it. This has to be frame perfect, so don't expect to get it on your first attempt. Using this setup, it mostly comes down to reaction time. Try to lay the power bomb as soon as you see Draygon's head come in on the right side of the screen. After laying the power bomb, press and hold the crystal flash inputs, L, R, down, and shoot. Then just wait and see if you got the timing right. If you nailed it, Draygon will pick you up while you're actively in a crystal flash. Let's go over what it looks like if you're too early or too late so that you can adjust your timing accordingly. If you lay the power bomb even a frame too early, the crystal flash will initiate just before Draygon reaches Samus. Then the crystal flash will be interrupted and stopped by Draygon picking you up. On the bright side, Samus will at least get a Shine Spark suit, also known as a spark suit, a spike suit, or a yellow suit. You can tell that this occurred if Samus's beam turns gray in color. Also, you'll have a Shine Spark ready to go when Draygon releases you. If you lay the power bomb even a frame too late, the crystal flash won't initiate at all, and you won't even get a Shine Spark suit. This is because Draygon will pick up Samus and move her away from the location where you laid the power bomb. As explained before, at the moment a crystal flash would initiate, Samus has to be at exactly the same location as where the power bomb was laid. In short, if your power bomb was too early, your beam will turn gray. If you were too late, nothing will happen. Using that knowledge, try to make the necessary adjustments. Here are screenshots of me laying a power bomb too early, too late, and perfectly. just to give you an idea. But if you'd like to see a better quality photo of the frame at which you should lay the power bomb, check out the link in the description. Once you successfully get grabbed during a crystal flash, you have to act pretty quickly. While your missile count is draining from the crystal flash, press on the D-pad once, or a few times if you want to be safe. Your missile count should then underflow to basically infinity. Once your super missile count starts dropping, just mash on the D-pad. The goal is to get that counter that we talked about before to a value of 60 as soon as possible, so that Draygon will drop Samus and the crystal flash will end before it starts taking away power bombs. After Draygon drops you, something to note is that this technique does give Samus a Shine Spark suit, so don't be surprised when your beam turns gray and you Shine Spark out of nowhere. Once you've been dropped, go ahead and kill Draygon by whichever method you prefer. Here's another very important detail. Just as your ammo values can underflow to basically infinity, they can also overflow back to 0. So be very careful not to pick up any item drops until you've used a lot of your missiles and super missiles. I would actually recommend just shooting a ton of missiles and supers as soon as possible after succeeding with this glitch. It's really annoying if you accidentally overflow. Also, importantly, from this point on, avoid two things like the plague: your ship and missile recharge stations. Your ship will reset your missile and super missile counts to whatever your maximum amount was prior to this glitch. Same idea with the missile recharge stations, but at least in that case, you won't lose your super missiles. Lastly, you probably want to save and reset your file at this point to remove the annoying perma-goo state. Although it is kind of funny to practice short charging with perma-goo. Anyway, before we conclude the video, you may be wondering something. Why don't we also get near infinite power bombs? Can't you underflow the power bombs too? Well, yes, technically, but it's pointless. For some reason that I do not understand at all, if you underflow your power bombs, they simply don't work. The value will underflow to near infinity, no problem. But if you try to lay power bombs after this, nothing happens. The power bomb count will go down, but that's it. And for whatever reason, you can only lay 5 of these fake power bombs per room until you exit and re-enter. The good news is, if you accidentally underflow your power bombs too, they will start to work again if you overflow them back to 0 and then collect some. I have no clue why any of this happens, but if any of you do, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, everyone, and enjoy your near infinite ammo.